Welcome back to Trots Life on this Monday morning, the 3rd of January. Matthew Cox with you this morning alongside Cody Winnell and Michael Howard. 0499 736 736 if you'd like to join the conversation with the boys this morning.
Fantastic. And just pick up some milk codes has come through on the text message. So if you grab some milk on the way back home.
No worries, I'll just type that into my laptop here so I can remember that, because I'd normally set a prompt on the phone as well, Mick. In addition to the text message, can't even look at the text.
Phone's
can't set a prompt either.
We're rolling through Friday night, New Year's Eve, and we're having a bit of fun. Vic Bred Super Series, it was terrific, 12 Group 1s, and it's time to really enjoy a bit of superstar status because we've got Ann Anderson on the line. She is the owner, breeder. She's part of Lauriston Bloodstock with husband Bill, and we're going to talk about Ladies in Red and Honolulu Bay, who are two of the more exciting horses in the game at the moment, but Ladies in Red in particular is a bit special. I'm sure you'll be more than happy, Ann, to share a bit of chat with us about her.
Yes, I would. Yeah, thanks, Cody and Michael, for having me.
Congratulations, Anne. Look, Ladies in Red especially is a horse that I want to really particularly focus on today, because she, I just think, is so special. And ever since, and I'm sure it's the same with you and for all, ever since I first watched this horse in action, she's just come across to me like she's almost older than the horses that she's against. She's just better than them in that class, and I think she could be the most exciting filly. And I've said this on social media, and some disagree, and that's okay, but I think she's the best filly that I can recall at age 2 or 3, because what she does, I don't think some of those other really top fillies necessarily of the past could do. You'd be no doubt agreeing with me and showing some favouritism.
Oh, certainly. Look, I know I'm biased, but I think she is such a good filly. She just gets the job done, doesn't seem to be stressed about it, just very workmanlike and a very professional racehorse. And what I do like about her, and what I don't think comes through, is the fact that nearly every time, especially in the big races, she's had a bad barrier draw. She's had to sit outside the leader, come round them from the back and sit outside for at least the last lap in every one of those group races, and she's just come away from them at the finish. And I think that's amazing. That just the way she's done it, I think sets her apart. Yeah,
I can't argue. I mean, 17 wins and 3 seconds from 20 starts so far. And as you say, even in those races when she's had to do the work and still get the win, I still don't think we've seen the bottom of her too often, Anne. Would you agree with that?
We don't appear to have. She seems to pull up very well after every run. We always ask the trainers, Emma and Clayton, and how did she pull up? How did she go? And no, she's fine, bucking her brand off. So that's all you can go on. It doesn't seem to faze her, and we just hope she continues along that way.
Well, she's obviously got the speed and the strength, which we know, because you don't win that many races unless you've got both those attributes and do it that consistently from difficult positions. But I think, Anne, and you can tell me whether I'm right or wrong, but I think the thing that sets her apart, she seems to have a fighting spirit. As soon as she gets a bit of a sniff that something's near her, and Codes might run us through the race itself in a second as to just how it transpired, but Rogue Wave did threaten her, and she just kept Rogue Wave on her hip and just responded and just said, no, this is mine, no matter how much work she'd already done.
I think so. She's just got that super will to win, and I don't think she's ever been beaten when she's led or when she's been able to take the lead. There's nothing come from behind her and beaten her. So I think that just speaks for itself, doesn't it, about her professionalism and about the true racehorse that she is.
Yeah, Rogue Wave was enormous in second, Mick. We might just quickly touch on the recap of the race. Basically, Joanna led, as expected. Rogue Wave found herself sort of up in second place from that back row draw early. Ladies in Red moved to the breeze at about the mile. In the end, that's basically the end of that. She just got it done from there, sat outside and was too strong late. Rogue Wave, terrific, eventually tracking Ladies in Red and chased hard right to the line. And Treachery and Joanna have both run really good races, but they were about 9 metres off Michael in third and fourth place.
I made a mistake at the turn. I thought Ladies in Red was very, very vulnerable to Rogue Wave at the turn 9. In fact, I expected her to get beaten.
I'd say she looked vulnerable, and Anne, I'd be interested in your thoughts here. I thought she may have looked vulnerable, but Mick, I've got to say that I didn't doubt her, though. Even when we saw Rogue Wave pull to the outside, I still thought she'd find. There was one stride where Rogue Wave sort of looked like, here I come, but that's when I think, Anne, the fighting spirit of Ladies in Red kicked in.
Oh, I think it did. Yes, when she's in front, as I said, she's very, very hard to get past. And, she showed that again, didn't she, in that last race? And Rogue Wave is a very good filly, and I think she's an improving filly too.
I think Joanna's an exciting filly too, and that's the funny thing about some of these fillies is that they, without Ladies in Red, these fillies, we'd be talking about them as top-notch fillies, but Ladies in Red is just such that generational champion filly for mine. So it probably leads me to asking a little bit about how you find a Ladies in Red, Anne, and you've had a bit of success with your horses, and we'll touch on that as we go through. But the secret to the breeding success, I think I heard you asked about this on one of the coverage at the weekend, and you didn't give too much away, so I wanted to push you a little bit more on radio today, and hopefully if I had the Colonel on from KFC, I'd be asking him about the recipes, and see if you can give us some insights into what you actually look for, what you look for in a in a young horse, because you've got such a good record as breeding.
There's no secret to it. There's no secret recipe. I do look when I try and pick out the mares, and we did this many years ago. When we started out, we went to New Zealand and bought just some fillies. We'd go over to the yearling sales most years, buy a nicely bred filly, race it for a little bit, and then that would become go into our broodmare band. We were just starting out. We bought the property 15 years ago up at Longwood in Euroa, and that was the basis to it. Strong maternal families, and that's what I always look for when we went to the US. I look at the family. Don't buy the horse, buy the family, and that's been something that I've tried to work with all the time. When I look at breeding, when I look at what mares I want to buy, I want to look at the stallions, and that's sort of just how it works. I think it starts with the mare.
I want to talk about this for a lot longer, but I don't think we've got time, unfortunately. But Ladies in Red, what's next for her? We know she's going to jump up from her 3-year-old grade into 4-year-old and a fair bit of open class. What have you got in mind?
There was some talk about the Ladyship Mile, and that's still on the table, but we're not sure about that. We need to talk to Emma and Clayton. We'll sit down with them next week and go over both these horses, how they've pulled up, what we think, try and work out a bit of a program, because that's what we do too, is part of it is the planning. Where you're going and what you're doing, and then you can work with it. Somebody once said to me, when you've got a good horse, train them like Waller train Winks. Just plan. You don't have to race in every race. Don't dance every dance. Just go to the ones that you pick out and have a plan and stick to that plan. And I think we've got to do that. And I think it's time now to sit down with Emma and Clayton and put that plan into place and have a plan to look after these horses. We did that with Ladies in Red last year. She stayed at home for quite a few months. She had a great spell, and then she went back and look at what she's achieved. And I think it's about time to replan now.
All right, when you get that plan sorted out, make sure you give us a buzz, Anne, because I'd love to know it. Now, speaking of what's up next and talented horses, we've only got a couple of minutes left. We want to talk about Honolulu Bay as well, of course, a really exciting horse who I feel like he's just sort of knocking on the door of his potential, but we're starting to see it because he's got amazing speed and was super impressive in winning his Ultimate Sniper 4-year-old Entires and Geldings class, of course, put on so much speed throughout the middle of the race. And certainly they got a bit tired coming home in 29.4, but he did the hard work and he got rewarded with another Group 1.
Oh, yes. Look, he's just been a revelation after he started out with the first win for Emma and Clayton on the 30th of October. He's had 5 starts, 5 wins, 1 Group 1 and 2 Group 2s. Couldn't ask him to do any more. We think we've got him right now, and he's starting to show that he's got the makings of a very nice horse, I think.
Yeah, of course, a half-brother, this horse, to Rock and Roll Icon, and also looking fabulous. So a couple of horses that you've had some success there with as well, Anne. So it comes from that strong family. But Honolulu Bay, I read that maybe the Miracle Mile, believe it or not, might be on the cards for this horse this year.
I would say no. Again, haven't spoken to Emma and Clayton, but Bill and I have had that discussions already. Once the dust settled after Friday night, we came home and we just sort of, over the weekend, tossed a few things around and we've thought about it, and I thought it was a tired horse. I thought he pulled up tired after his run in the Sires, after his Group 1 win. He's had 5 starts. He's not a mature horse. He's still very immature, both in size. He's a big horse, but he needs to fill out, and also just mentally, he needs to grow up. So we're thinking a spell for him. As I said, again, it needs to be reaffirmed with Emma and Clayton. We'll talk to them about it. But there's plenty at the end of the year for him. We've got Inter-Dominions, Victoria Cups, those sort of things at the end of the year. I think he's had his blooding now in this level of racing, which he hadn't had before. I think that'll stand him in good stead, and we're more than happy to put him away for a little while and produce him later in the year.
Well, we'll certainly be looking forward to when he does come back, because we know he's got all the pace in the world, and perhaps just a little bit more strength might be that missing, final ingredient, I guess, that gets him up to that Grand Circuit level. Look, really exciting to talk to you, and congratulations on your amazing stable of horses, and in particular, thank you for sharing Ladies in Red with everyone and for having her put on another amazing performance. She's elevating the sport, which is extremely exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Anne.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you. Bye.